Hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 937, Black Politics. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust. I'm here with my co-panelists, Dollar Will, Nagona 11, Man of Tomorrow, and Jay Shine.
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Going on?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Not much, man. I just wanted to actually have this conversation about Juneteenth, the 4th of July, or the 4th of July, and white supremacy. No one else seems to be talking about this in the manosphere, and I think that this video that we're going to watch is actually timely because it just came out as well. Let's roll that beautiful beam footage.
Canada's largest white supremacist group is training with fascist fight clubs in the US, growing a global network, preparing for what they say is a race war.
The race war is here.
For the first time since their formation, Second Sons Canada is promoting how it sent members south of the border, meeting with some of the most prominent white nationalist groups in the United States and the founder of the whole movement.
I'm for pro-white. I'm for putting my race above everything else.
Through public Telegram posts, videos, and images, we track them from Texas to a major gathering in South Carolina.
It's very significant that we're seeing Canadians travel across the border. It is getting more and more coordinated by the day.
Second Sons Canada describes itself as a men's nationalist club. But based on our previous reporting and expert analysis, it's more like what's called an active club. Active clubs are a global movement of white nationalist fight clubs who gather to train in combat sports. They're founded by this guy, Robert Rundo.
I put my people first. You know, there's fun in fascism.
What we're seeing is a growing white supremacist movement that orients itself around physical activity, who are using these activities as conduits into white supremacist radicalization and mobilization.
Here's the leader of Second Sons, Jeremy Mackenzie, giving a Nazi salute. And the group openly welcomes neo-Nazis. Here's their vice president, Alex Friend.
We do have National Socialist members, I'm not going to lie about that.
We've spotted American active clubs coming to Canada before. They were present at a meeting in 2024, hosted by the Ontario-based group NS13, which we geolocated to Goderich, Ontario. And also last summer in Haldimand County in southern Ontario. We discovered the location by finding these wind turbines in the background of this Telegram video. Second Sons has held demonstrations across Canada, but this is the first time it's posted images of its members in the United States. According to Telegram posts in late March, they traveled to Texas for their first meetup with Lone Star Active Club, based around Dallas. We've geolocated these images to verify them, and we find that their first meetup was in the city of Fort Worth. The two groups can obviously be seen at the Fort Worth stockyards, but also at a major gym. And here they are at a private gym used by the Lone Star Active Club. This place was first geolocated by the Texas Observer.
This is very much a broad, multinational movement of like-minded individuals who share similar interests, whether that be combat sports, martial arts, physical exercise, but also a similar ideology in that they want to establish a homeland for white people only.
So Second Sons is meeting up with a Texas Active Club, but that's just their first stop. We uncover ties to an even more important figure in this movement. This image appears to be taken in a sort of clubhouse for the Lone Star group. You might think that this is 3 Second Sons members. Check out this guy in the middle though. We believe this is Robert Rundo.
When I first saw that picture, I laughed because despite the blurring, I knew it was Rundo right away. I mean, that's obviously Robert Rundo. There's no question.
Rundo is the founder of the modern active club movement. In 2024, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for what US prosecutors described as planning and engaging in riots at political rallies, in which Rundo and others pursued and assaulted other persons, and were later seen celebrating the assaults they had committed.
I've been investigating Robert Rundo since 2020. There had been a long legal saga at various points throughout that timeline that I've been following him.
Here's why we think it's him. The watch in this video appears to be the same one as this image. And the tattoo blurred here is in the same shape and place as Rundo's tattoo in this other video. He's also appeared in this place before. Take this video of him preparing White Lad's monthly Sunday dinner.
I would describe him as, well, the founder of the active club movement. He does have really the most senior role, much more of a strategic or ideological figurehead.
Next, Second Son's members hit the road, traveling from Texas to South Carolina. They're heading to American Muscle 2, part combat sports tournament, part networking event. They meet there with clubs from across the US, like Great Lakes Active Club. You can see someone wearing the Second Son shirt in this promotional video put out by the organization running the event. That organization? Patriot Front, one of the United States' most notorious white nationalist groups.
Nothing even comes close to Patriot Front. So there's a reason why we, learn from them, learn from other groups, and why we try to emulate some of what they do.
There is very likely a high degree of strategizing that is happening at these events, as well as deeper thinking as to how to propel the movement forward.
American Muscle 2 took place at a business called Dixie Republic. It describes itself as the South's largest Confederate store.
The actual model that they have adopted that is designed to radicalize and push individuals into white supremacist. These groups are ultimately seeking to undermine democracy and replace Canadian values with a very strict fascist interpretation of the society they want to achieve.
I think the greater worry should be around, the potential radicalization among the existing members and the existing core and leadership, a radicalization towards political violence.
We'll continue to keep an eye on groups and gatherings like this. If you have something you want us to investigate, email us at vi@cbc.ca.
So, any initial thoughts?
There's a sheer lack of a certain melanin content of individuals there, even though they want to associate themselves with these people politically. Strange.
Well, the Dixie Republic store that they had down there, I wonder if that had anything to do with taxes and tariffs.
and Juneteenth about reminding them to pay their taxes and tariffs, or else.
I mean, all jokes aside, man, I do think that this is definitely this is serious now, because if you got Canadians crossing the border, shouldn't we be closing the border? I mean, why are we closing the border with Mexico? That's not where the threat's coming from. The threat seems to be coming right from the Great White North. Where's Andre 420? The Afro-Canadian in the manosphere who seems to be so active in our politics. How come he's not talking about this? Young Maple Leaf, whatever his name is, why is he talking about this? This is really important, because if they're linking up like this, what does that mean for Black people? Because ultimately their gripe seems to be about the Civil War, and democracy, that they, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And you just saw, coincidentally, the Supreme Court kind of strike down, the idea of overturning birthright citizenship. All of this is, the intersectionality of it all, for the lack of a better description, is coming together at the most appropriate time. Jay Sean, any thoughts?
Ironically, I just read an article. A Trump-appointed judge just ended 6 Proud Boy cases because the DOJ wanted to, not pursue the prosecution anymore. And even though they have, all the evidence to continue the case, the judge has the discretion to continue it. He says, well, I'm not going to if the DOJ is going to drop the case, or if they're not going to pursue prosecution. So what that means is that on both ends, this is how this works. The guys you saw in the video, the muscle, if you will, for white supremacy, they get to act out and commit crimes, and then they get let off because some of them who are smart or have an aptitude for intelligence will end up in office. And that's what you're seeing happening right now in the States. A lot of these white supremacists are ending up in office right now. They're running for office unabashedly. They're talking crazy. If you just look at what's going on in Colorado right now for governor, the two people on the Republican side talking crazy, So they're vying for power. And because we're not active as a group in politics, and we say things like, well, I'm choosing the couch, you know what I mean? That means these guys just get to be in power. So a lot of guys you saw in that video, at some point, one or two of them will end up in power, and they'll have real power. They'll have power over police, power over military, power over policy, power over government departments. And that's when they get to do the things that they're doing right now to black men in the military. And they don't understand that. So we have a group of broken men right now, talking about black men, a lot of them in the black manosphere, who are opposite of the men you saw in that video. No matter how misguided those white males are in that video, at least they still have a masculine trait that vies for power. And we have a bunch of black males right now who don't give a damn about power. They're not pursuing anything. They don't want to, all they want to do is complain about what Keisha's doing and then rooting for a white daddy to fix it for them. And they've chosen their lot to go with the quote unquote masculine man, which is the man on the right, to be their champion. So they're going to empower him and let him come to power, have real power, and hurt themselves. So it's a self-defeating position that a lot of these brothers are taking. Meanwhile, you have white boys from sea to shining sea all over the globe training for war. And if they can't get into actual physical confrontation, they're going to take it out on you with the pen.
But this is what's so significant is here we are on the continent of North America, and here you have white boys coming from Canada into the United States to fight black people here. To do that. And, I'm sure they'll do whatever little they can in Canada, but Canada will come down on them pretty hard. But they're coming up in here in these United States and getting trained and so forth. And like I said, there's some Canadian watchers from here who have nothing to say but are worrying about Kamala and so forth.
Yeah, the Toronto Raptor. How do you make heads or tails of this, Dollar Will?
Man, that's a hell of a wake up call. What did Flavor Flav say? What time is it? It got real fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We're gonna really see how far we're gonna go with that. We built this.
To this point, you're gonna see who's really FBA, B1,
right,
and the ADOS. Okay, you're gonna see who's really about that life, who's really Pan-African, who's really pro-black out in the streets when these folks show up. Now, I'll be honest, this picture really pisses me off when it came out. I'll put it like this: I think if anything was to happen to that young black woman in that picture, I think we'd be having a different conversation right now, an immensely different conversation. Yeah, this is what's going to separate a lot of black men in the black community from who's about what and what time they're going to be about it. The only other part that bothers me is that people always talk about national security and national security risk and using ICE to deport all these people. The real risk is right there on that train. The real risk is right on that train, because if those guys were Muslim and they were running around saying Allahu Akbar, I guarantee you right now there'd be Arleigh Burke class ships in the Atlantic firing tomahawks right into Washington D.C. or wherever else they would have found these guys. They wouldn't even think twice about that.
Fuck.
On sight.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it right now in the Caribbean. Bombing speedboats as they go back and forth between Trinidad and Venezuela and other Caribbean islands with no sort of evidence that these guys are transporting anything. And you got these guys running around from city to city.
And Mike, what's really deep about it is that they got a permit to organize.
Yeah.
So the powers that be knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm saying about being in power. You know, and that's how power works, because DC, for last time I checked, is a very black city.
But Jay Shine, what I find most interesting is how many in this space, and in some other, many in this space specifically, and in Black YouTube and on the whole, how very few have even spoken about this. But yet, you know, they can talk all day long about, the vote blue no matter who's and all this kind of stuff. But yet, cannot sit down and talk about the march of the new Klan through DC, and they have nothing to say. Somehow they have nothing to say about this.
On the 250th.
On the 250th,
just like they did on the 150th.
They're silent.
And also their internationalization of it all, right? Because they're working with Canadians, they're working with the British or whoever because there was some protests, I think last month, with white British nationals over there in the UK, throwing people out, calling, have these minorities pushed out of the country, closing the borders and whatever things that they, whatever have you. And so I don't know. And then you take into consideration whatever ICE is doing right now with Customs and Border Protection as well. We don't know how many of these guys actually work on the federal side.
Too many.
Which would probably explain why they're covering up their face, which would also explain why ICE is covering up their face as well in a lot of situations. And so they just finished killing somebody this week.
They sure did. Didn't they just kill someone else? I thought they just killed someone else. They said I could be wrong. I thought
today.
Maybe it was the same. Maybe it was the same report. I thought they had killed someone else.
All right.
Say that one more time.
I think it was a Mexican guy.
Yeah, it was Mexican.
Yeah, it's the Mexican guy. But anyway, we definitely know that ICE is back up to their old tricks, taking people out. And apparently, this individual was someone who wasn't supposed to be killed or something. Some madness. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, but
these six January 6 cases that were just dismissed, these guys can now go be part of ICE.
They are definitely a part of that.
And that's what power. We're giving these guys 6-figure salaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To go out and just be white supremacists with no accountability. And bonuses, right? With no accountability.
And bonuses.
What's up, MOT? With no accountability. And that's the part that bugs me the most. There's no accountability. They don't even they push local authorities out of shootings, so the evidence is not even being preserved correctly. We can't, so they're making it harder for even the next administration to come back and try and investigate. So this is real serious. This is a real serious moment. But when you're dealing with boys, we're not dealing with men right now. We're dealing with males. We're not dealing with men, because men vie for power. Men are concerned about protection and self-preservation, the preservation of their families and their communities, and at least the things they own. These guys don't even have that gene in them no more. It's been worked out, pushed out, mushed out, programmed out, socialized out. They don't have the gene no more. That power is what matters. They want a quasi power where they can be online talking crazy to each other because they see another black person as another person that's powerless. So they have no problem talking to each other crazy. But when it's time to deal with what you had on that screen or that picture you have right now on that screen, where they at?
Yeah. You know what it's going to take, Jay Shine? It's going to take one of these YNs getting yoked up by these jokers in order to test the heart of where black men are at.
Yeah.
All those dudes who be on TikTok and whatnot, flashing them burners and them blickies with the extendos on them and and talking all that rah-rah, one of those dudes are gonna have to get yoked up by these jokers, and it's gonna determine who's about what in the black community. Now, for the Nation of Islam, I think they've already proven where they stand.
For sure.
For some of these Christian brothers, they may take a different position, because Grandmaster Jay
he's in jail.
Is still doing
prison.
time.
Still in
for
jail.
flashing his flashlight during the first Trump administration at ATF, who were tracking these guys around.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
That's right. He's still in jail.
Yeah, he's sick right
While
now.
they're canceling,
While
they're canceling cases for actual people who did do that. But there is something that's coming down the pike that is going to be cleaning all these dudes out of there once the administration is over with. And I'll talk about it more offline. But these people are not about to get away with this. All these people are about to go on a huge watch list, and they're going to be banned from a lot of stuff in society. Coming soon. And I'm not even worried about these cowards. I mean, they should have got jobs. I mean, because once they start reclassifying, Custom Border Patrol and kicking all of these people out of here and putting these people on a watch list, like in the future, these people are never going to be able to work for the federal government anyway, after all this stuff is over with.
And Democrats, go ahead.
But you have to realize that during the second half of the Trump administration, the play is going to be putting the heat on these immigrants. That's what the play is. It's going to be putting the heat on these immigrants. And unfortunately, we have to be able to stand with these people, because after they do that to them, they're just warming up back to do the same thing to us.
Absolutely.
Along the same lines. I mean, so people have just got to understand, like, I'm not really worried about them, but it's without government power, them just ganging up and doing some of this cowardice stuff that they was doing like in the early 1920s to 1960s. That's what I'm kind of afraid that's going to start happening, and no one's going to know. But
how long is it going to take FBA to put the dominoes together the way you just did?
No, I mean, FBA are non-players. FBA is nothing but a psyop to get you to disengage yourself from the actual process itself. That's what it's about. Because you don't see FBA people outside of the online space. And I mean nowhere, not even California. I mean, it's quite obvious these people are buck dance and do anything for this white algorithm to catch this Delta November easy check. But when it comes to actual hard physical power, they're not going to do anything. And they're kind of stuck in a place to where you don't have a place. You didn't go with the Republicans when they had full power. You dismiss the Democratic Party. So the only thing you can do is try to stop people from engaging in the process. And that stuff, it's not going to work everywhere.
Yeah, it's not.
No. Yeah.
No, I mean, when I constantly look at this picture, but I'm also reminded about the black man who was accosted in Boston in 2022 by the same Patriot Front, who was then later in the federal appeals case awarded $2.7 million to be ordered to be paid by the Patriot Front. Now, whether or not they paid it, I haven't heard anything about it, but that's the first warning shot. For all the emotional labor of black men and by your PhDs, why aren't they talking about that black man who was accosted by these white supremacists who came out of that same administration that's in office now? People should be taking that into consideration. They could have mauled this brother. I mean, they did a number on him, but my thing here is that's a warning shot to a lot of black men that you can get got out here by these jokers. And this black female in the picture here, that's somebody's daughter. People in the manosphere worried about World War III in Iran and nuclear weapons and stuff. Here's the real World War III right here on the train. Okay.
And she was sitting right there in the middle of that shit.
Yeah.
No, and none of these Negroes are talking.
Yeah. Tell me this. I wonder who took the picture. You think one of them took it? That's what I wonder. Who took this damn picture?
Yeah, that's a good question because they don't have.
I
anybody.
wouldn't be surprised if it was one of them took the picture and they thought it was a flex and posted it.
Yeah,
but that's how they think. But it's when it comes down to seeing something like this and there's no response, and collectively from black men, or black people, it's the three I's, that when it comes to black people and black politics. And for me, the three I's are ignorance, immaturity, and incessant fear. And we got to keep in mind what's been passed down. Sometimes you got to zoom out and look at the timeline. This is a process. And that process that started with chattel slavery is still going. We have not fixed, a lot of the ideologies and the mindsets that came off those plantations. And every time we did try to get together and get some movement, whether it was Reconstruction, whether it was building our own towns, there was destruction of it. And then you had another 100 years of terror and policies, all the way up to now. Benign neglect. It's a lot of things that have created, the ghetto situation, the ghetto mindset, and also this mindset of not doing anything, being comfortable with white people being in power. And that's what you're seeing from a lot of these brothers. They're comfortable being under another person. Meanwhile, you got immigrants coming to the country and they're already running for Senate, running for president. Everybody has an innate nature. It's natural to want to get some agency and some authority. And what we have now with the black community and the black America is that people want to put boots on the ground, but they don't want to go get some power in these chambers. And that's what this is really about. This is just about power.
Yeah. Well, because they spend a lot of time talking about ancillary things like Andrew Gillum and whether or not he was doped up or something like that. They're not actually focused on the bigger picture, like you said. And I think a lot of these dudes, and specifically in the manosphere, have outsourced their masculine representation to the Proud Boys and the Patriot Front. These sort of right-wing groups, and are basically carrying out, or at least have turned the black manosphere into a surrogacy for white supremacy, because a lot of their arguments always falls in line with whatever these gray boys have an argument with, have a great deal of concern about. And it's like, I'm not concerned about whether or not trans people can play sports. That's not my concern. My concern is on that train right there. Okay, I ride the train when I go to work, and travel about the city and whatnot. Even though I have a car, I still have to ride the train. I wonder, would I have gotten off of that train? If I had to be confronted by them by myself. I don't know, because you can't carry everywhere, legally you can't carry everywhere. And even if you did carry, there's 150 of these guys running around. You only got about 10 rounds on you. You got to pick and choose your battles. And I don't think some of these dudes are ready to even decide to pick and choose what the battle is going to be, and whether or not they're going to fight or flight. This is a serious concern. This is a national security issue for black people. The NAACP should be putting out a statement about black people traveling alone and whatnot. You just had several black men who were found lynched all over the country, in different states. No one's talking about this, though. I don't hear anybody in the manosphere talking about this. Go ahead, Jay Sean.
And not just lynched, dismembered.
Oh yeah.
This is a very serious time, and it takes a very serious person. But what concerns me is that self-preservation hasn't even kicked in, at this point. These guys are acting a plumb fool. They're taking jobs. They're stopping career black men from going forward or even being hired. And that doesn't concern them. But when you look at somebody like C.Q. Brown, right? This brother is a conservative. So where are the black conservatives to defend a black conservative? He's a black conservative. He was put as the Air Force Chief of Staff by the Republicans. That's why he was in line to be Joint Chief of Staff. He was made Air Force Chief of Staff under the first Trump administration. All right? This is their guy. So now they saying, look, man, I know you one of our guys. They had a lot of nice things to say about him as they showed him the door. but they still showed him the door.
Yep.
It's about having white power. So when he had that first joint session, the first joint session in February last year, he had an all-white male leadership, military leadership. If you go back and watch the video, and you look at when President Trump is walking off the podium or to the podium, and he goes by the military leadership, it's all white males. By the time he has that joint session, he had an all-white male leadership. He got rid of the women and the black man, just like that. Because that's what this is about. This is about white male power. And I don't understand how any black man could think that's healthy for them, especially given the history of the country they live in.
Well, it's because, once again, these Negroes, they don't care about power. What they want to be is under the boot of this gray boy, because she got big balls and this kind of craziness. And this is who these guys are willing to get up underneath and sit there like lapdogs while they cut your nuts out.
Why they doing it? Why they want white men in charge? Because they want white men to fix Keisha for them. That's what it's really about for them. They want the white man to fix the black woman for them. They want the white man to fix everything for them.
And these Negroes were told a long time ago, if you're looking for the white man to fix Keisha for you, he ain't gonna do that. That's not his job. He'll tear her out the frame and tear you out the frame as well. That's where this thing is at. And I don't know how you can explain it to these guys, but I've heard it in this manosphere that they felt black women were more dangerous and more detrimental than racism. I've heard this. I've heard this before. I don't know how to explain it, but I've heard this before.
Yeah, maybe FBA, ADOS, and B1 could form their own NATO.
Call it Beto.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, we laugh because we don't want to cry about this, but this is some serious stuff that's going on right now, and midterms are coming up. Are folks even organizing for that? We got senior citizens going back to work at 75 and 80 years old. Black folks, doing Grubhub deliveries and stuff like that, and no one's thinking about this. No one's thinking about how vulnerable black people are right now, specifically black men. No one's talking about this. The 19-point agenda does not have this as a line item, in their concerns, about white nationalism, white supremacy, and the threat that's looming over your community.
They feel somehow it's not going to affect them. Somehow they feel that this somehow it doesn't involve them.
Go ahead, talk about.
Yeah, this is. I think we're not gonna have any problem getting a good turnout for midterm, but a lot of damage can be done between now and then. A lot of damage.
Now,
I don't know. This is a big turning point. I don't even think that. I think this is going to be a wake-up call for a lot of delusional Negroes about what America is and always was. I don't think we'll hear post-racial comments anymore. That type of stuff. So I think we're going to get. I've been hearing some on the positive side. I've been hearing, like in Christian communities, I've been hearing in Black Christian communities, I've been hearing healthy conversation about getting Black Christians to understand what Christian nationalism is, and that's not something that they necessarily, or we as African Americans, need to necessarily support just because it's Christian. So I think that's positive. I'm proud to see Christian communities taking that conversation on. So I don't hear the manosphere talk about that either.
No.
Any closing thoughts?
They TradCon, TradCon for life.
Any closing thoughts, MOT?
No.
Dollar Will?
That said it right there. I had what I just said.
Nicole 11.
Hey, thanks for inviting me on, Mike.
Jay Sean.
All I got to say is the mission is to win the midterms. The current situation we're in right now is that not only we have to win the Congress, we have to win the Senate. And it's not about we as Democrats. It's about us against this crazy regime that's in government right now. Because if this man has 2 more years to appoint the same judges that just let them January 6 rioters off, to appoint more crazy department heads and not have a body that's going to rein in these department heads who are doing all the damage or carrying out all the damage, then we're going to be worse for it. And I'm not even sure if we're going to have an adequate government or political system in 2028.
Yeah, my final thoughts on this is that for Democratic governors and mayors, you should put these people on the do not call list when they apply for government jobs and services. That's one point of power that Democrats could actually levy over these folks if the federal government is not going to intervene on behalf of our interests. And my other point here would be that Black people, specifically Black men, people will look back 10, 15, 20, 35, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, and ask, where were you at when the ish hit the fan? Okay, when the Proud Boys showed up, when the Oath Keepers showed up, when the Patriot Front showed up, when these Canadians showed up, coincidentally, these Toronto Raptors, where were you at, and what were you doing on that day? So with that being said, thank you all for joining. Please hit the like button on the way out and share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Press.